Go file that some of the packages are missing, and that's why it's giving us these red line errors, and now they've all gone away. So that's a great place to be. Okay, so you have your main client, you have your main server, but we have not written any code there yet, which is not ideal. We should be writing some code there. So what we'll say is, in our server, we'll create a server. Okay, so firstly I'll define a port on which the server will run. So I'll say it's port 8080. Okay, then I'll have my func main here, my main function. In my func main, I will create a listener. So I'll say list is equal to net.listen TCP port, comma, port. So I'll save and I'll get the net package here. Getting 2 lines here because I've not handled the error, and I've also not decided what to do with this at the moment. So first let's handle the error. So if error not equal to nil, I'll say log.fatalf failed to start the server comma error, print out the error. I don't have the log package also, so I'll just say Control S, will get the log package for me. Okay, so I have the port, but I want to create the gRPC server. So to create a gRPC server, we'll say grpc.new server. Okay, I don't have the gRPC package, so let me get that. So it's Google remote protocol calling. Okay, so that's remote procedure calling, sorry, it's for Google. So it's grpc.new server, and now I'll say if error equal to grpc server dot serve, and we'll pass the port there, lis. So let's pass the port there, lis, and error, handle the error. log.fatalf failed to start %v comma error. Okay, now that's not all, right? That's not all. We also need to say pb, right? pb means this the proto stuff here, dot register greet service server, right? So if you remember, we created a greet service and we have all these functions there, but to create the server, with context to the greet service. So we'll say pb.register greet server. And here we'll pass our gRPC server, comma, ampersand hello server. Okay. So let's worry about hello server in a while. For now, just say log printf and server started at %v, and you listen on this address. So like I'm always writing it as list, not list. So it's list basically. Now hello server, right? So hello server is something you'll come and create out here. So you'll say type hello server. Sorry, my door is creating a lot of noise. I'll fix it in a while. It's very windy today, so that's why my door is all right. Anyhow, so here you're supposed to say pb dot greet service server. Okay. Now you don't have pb, so pb is essentially your protobuf. So what you'll say is define this as pb, and we'll say it's github.com/akhil/ basically you want to get it from here, right, from your go.mod /grpc demo yt. So we'll say grpc demo yt /proto. So that's pb, and now you have everything sorted here in your main.go file for server. Now this is all the code you need to start off your server on port 8080. So I'll take you through it again. Firstly, you need pb. pb is basically your proto, all your files related to proto stuff, including the files that were just created, right? So if you can see all of this file, so much data was created for you, so much code has been created for you guys, run off as a client, and the client is going to make request to a server. So that's why you use the grpc.dial function here. So here you'll say localhost plus port comma grpc dot with transport credentials, and here I'll say insecure. Like I said, we're not using any secure credentials, so we'll say dot new credentials. Okay, and this is it. So I'll just keep this open for a while so that you can see it in case you didn't see it. This localhost plus port. So localhost port basically is 8080 here, and not using any insecure credentials. Now obviously I'm getting red lines here because I want to handle the error and do something about the connection variable that I just created. So I'll just handle the error first. I'll say log.fatalf did not connect, error. Then I want to have this connection closing, and I want to defer it. So we want to do a lot of stuff from the client to the server, but at the end, when everything is over, we want to close the connection between the client and the server, right? That's how you see that, right? When I showed you the demo about the client and the server kept running with the client closed down after making the requests. So that's what's happening. So at the end, when everything is done, you want to close the connection from the client to the server. So that's why I've set defer. Defer basically ensures that this function runs at the very end of the execution. pb.new greet service client, and you send connection here. You have names equal to ampersand pb.names list, and names. So I want to send some names here. Let's say Akhil, and I'll use standard blockchain names, Alice and Bob. So whenever you configure a blockchain or work with a new blockchain, you have to configure these addresses like Alice, Bob, and all that. So I'm just keeping those as the standard addresses here. And now the first function that I have is call say hello and client. Okay, so the client being this. I'll save it. Hopefully I get all of these. And I'll comment this out for now. Okay. And we'll have to obviously create this function in one of the different files. But now I need pb here again. So firstly, what I'll do is I'll say pb and then github.com/akhil/grpc demo yt/photo. Okay, and now it can't find this function. That's understandable because we've not created that function yet, and now it's not, we don't have any use for the client, so that's why it's creating a problem. So let's keep this out, commented out for now. Okay, everything will make a lot more sense in a while. So we have a basic server code ready, and we have a basic client ready, but it doesn't do anything. Like it'll just start off the server and the client, but there's no point of having this. There's no point as of now. What you want to do is we want to start having firstly our Unary API, then our client server, our server stream, client streaming, server streaming, and bidirectional streaming. So we want to demonstrate all of those things. So what I'll do is I'll create a new file here called as unary.go for my Unary API. Okay, and here I'll say that this also belongs to package main. So function hello server. Now this is a method, that means the method for hello server struct. and the function is called say hello, right? So I'm demonstrating the very first function. It takes in context dot context comma request, takes in a request pb dot no param, and it returns a response. So I told you that Unary API is the very basic straightforward API where you just send a request, you get a response back. So here you'll say pb dot hello response comma error, you get that, okay? And from here you want to say return ampersand pb dot hello response, and you want to say message hello comma nil. Now again you need pb here, so it did get context for me, but I also need pb here. Not sure why it's not able to get pb for me. I need it again. I'll say pb github.com. Actually I'll just copy the same thing from here, wherever I have it here. Yeah, just copy and paste this. Okay, sorry, these are supposed to be round brackets. Okay, so this is your Unary server function, which is called as say hello. Now from my client, I want to call that function, like I said, call say hello. And that function also needs to be there in my client side. So I'll say unary.go. Okay, I'll create a new file for it. Now I could have done everything in one single file, but I want to demonstrate everything to you, so that's why I'm not doing it. So here is my function called call say hello, right? The one that I'm calling from my main function call say hello is actually here in the unary.go file. So here I'll say client pb dot greet service client, and here I'll say context cancel context dot with timeout context dot background comma the time package. So we definitely need the time package here. Okay, so firstly you obviously need pb again, so I will copy pb from here and paste it here. Okay, now let's do something about the context and cancel. So firstly I'll say defer cancel, so that cancel is taken care of, and then I'll say client dot say hello, pass context pb dot no params, and I'll get back my response here, or I'll get back an error, and I should be able to handle both. So if there's an error, I'll say if error is not equal to nil log dot fatal f could not greet comma error. Okay, and log dot print f percentage s comma response dot message. What you actually want to do is you basically want to print the response that you get back. So like I said, client, we're demonstrating a Unary API call. So that, like I said, there are four types of RPC calls we've defined in our proto, right? There's just a regular Unary call which takes in no params and returns a response. Then we'll be working with server streaming, client streaming, bidirectional streaming. But right now we just worried about this one, which takes in a param and with no param and then returns a response, right? We've defined what no param looks like. It's nothing basically. Hello response looks like this. Now what that means is from our client, we'll have to create the ability to be able to call our server. The server, looks like this. Server is basically gRPC.server running on port 8080. The client uses the gRPC.dial function to call the server. Okay. Now the exact specifications of the Unary API are mentioned in the unary.go file in server side and unary.go file in the client side. The unary.go file in server side has this function called say hello, which is supposed, when you call this function, it's supposed to return a message called hello. right? So this is the response, right? Remember, this is the response, not the stream. It's just the response, just like a regular API would work. And here, when you're calling that function, client.say hello, you're sending a request, which is no param request, and you're also passing the context, but you expect some response back. Once you get the response back, you just want to print out the response in the client side. And the client terminal, when we'll run it, you'll see it there. Now, this all sounds really good.
Okay, I'm back. Should be back now for, I'm guessing, upwards of a couple of hours. So I'm working on trying to get my cores implemented here. Or not cores, well, cores implemented on my gateway services. I'm just now trying to figure out how my React app, for example, can make the callback through the gateway. So so we have the gateway bit. So they have my gateway example here. So they're going to call the gateway, and it's interesting though that I might try to use this. How to make these requests more concise and handles errors more gracefully. I have to install Axios. Let's do that. I don't know who else is using it, but npm install Axios. Axios. Hey, and it installed without crying about it. Just worked. Yay! What do you know? Something actually just worked. Okay, I didn't have to. Sometimes lately, sometimes the version is a little older than my other stuff, and it'll say, "Oh, well, if you're using the newest stuff, I don't know what to do. You have to tell me to use legacy dependencies, something like that. I don't know." But okay, so I got through that. So then update your React code. Okay, so my React code has to call the gateway, and let's see what happens. Okay, so I'm actually going to go to my React application, which is my, I got to create like a test application. So, or not a test, but rather a test page. So I have a number of links on here that need to start being things. So one of which is like if I go to my app here, you can see I have coaching profile. Can you see? Is my menu even visible on there? I don't even know if my menu is visible. It doesn't look like the menu is visible. So let's make the menu visible. Okay, so here's my menu. Okay, so the menu here is in great need of some cleanup, but beyond that point, plus what's normal, right? I mean, okay, so let's take a look at some stuff. I do need to start considering the format of my application, right? So my application's got to start having some functionality that identifies it as an application. I want it to start looking like an application. Now keep in mind, I want all my apps to have a basic similarity. So even my less robust, less capable React application is going to have a similar layout and build to my mobile app. So I have to keep in mind, what do I expect the mobile app to look like? So like if we were to go look at, let's see, Google. Well, sure, we'll go to Google. I don't care. So let's just look up Marvel Snap. Marvel Snap. Jeez, what the heck? I didn't tell it to do that. Marvel Snap on Android. Okay, so if I go here, they're going to show me, there should be some, wow, they've really gone down in rating. They're really losing it. There's usually multiple apps or multiple views, but let's look at the trailer. And this is just one app. I'm going to look at some others, but but they're doing all this video. I just want to see the app now. Okay, so they're showing you the app.
Assemble.
Can't even see most of it. So you can see they have like, this is some of their menus, their interactive menus, but they don't have anything on here, right? So This one doesn't go too much into its layouts here. They don't have screenshots. Oh, they really dropped in. See, I don't want to be this guy. Mobile games are inherently predatory. And this is what people know. When they get into a free-to-play, a lot of times, even when I first started, I was like, I don't like free-to-play games, because you're always being prevented from enjoying the game unless you're paying out buku bucks. And I know it's tough as a game developer, I get it, and I don't know how successful my game will be because I don't want to do that. So yes, there will be pay parts. I have to have them, but I don't want this kind of thing. Like I say, for the first 2 years it was great, but in time you start feeling like, well, I'm getting way behind. I can't play. There's no way to catch up. It's going to be difficult. If you're playing for free, it is hard to catch up because there's a lot out there. But like, for example, Watcher of Realms. Watcher of Realms? It's been a while since I played it. Watcher of Realms. Let's see if Watcher of Realms has. It's your classic. I forgot what they call them. Gotcha games. I guess I didn't forget, but these are the most common, right? I mean, they are like they're a boat ton of heroes that do a bunch of stuff. But the thing is, if you're not one of the people who started when the game came out, you're like way behind the 8 ball. But you don't play against people that often, so at least there's that. You're playing by yourself. But if you want to play against other people, there's only a couple of spots where you do it, and you only have a handful of your heroes, but a lot of them are really good, and it's going to take you a long time to get them because now there's even more, right? Because early on, let's say there was 50 heroes and your odds were mediocre getting them, but when you got one, it was one that everybody else was getting because there wasn't a ton of them. Now there's 150 heroes. I don't know if it's that many, but I mean it's a lot. And so now if the last 100, let's say, aren't as good as the first 50, you're gonna have a really hard time getting those really good ones. Now hopefully some of the new ones are just as good and everybody's got a race for them, but since everybody else has them, there are events and such to help guarantee you get something new, so you're going to be, you're going to stretch out your collection, and everybody else is not. So I was kind of hoping this would show more detail on games, because I know like when you go like this is advertising other games. It doesn't help me at all. Where's all the screenshots? Usually I thought Google Play was pretty good at showing screenshots, but I guess no. Watch around. Okay, so see, it only shows 2 screenshots. Now, if you do it on the phone, but I wasn't really wanting to load up wasn't really planning to load up my phone. But you can see a lot of people stick by it. A lot of people like it, and I do like it. I just finally hit the free play ceiling, and I was just finding myself never playing. I mean, I'd go in there, spend time and time just running the same stuff over and over, auto playing it, and I didn't get a play. So that's another problem. I mean, it's a fun game, but you don't get to do some of the stuff just because your guys are always hitting a wall. So you need to improve them, and you're just doing a lot of stuff with trying to upgrade your. That was weird. Trying to upgrade your characters. So this is a pretty bad. I wanted to see more screenshots. I want to see screenshots of gameplay, but apparently they don't do it. Let's see. Let's see if is it a matter of page? Nope, it's not a matter of page size. All right, so let's go look for another game. Let's go football What is it? Football head coach 25. Yeah, see, I give you two screen. Oh, do they scroll? Oh, okay, so you can click here. Oh, maybe that's how you do it. Maybe I was doing that wrong before. Okay, so here, okay, so this game is one that I've played. This is one of those games where you got power creep. All your guys get stronger and stronger. In fact, there's even weak versions and strong versions of the same guys. And again, your games are pretty controlled by how many power points your guys have. Like he's got a 93 and he's an 84. If these two guys are actually going against each other, which they wouldn't because this is wide receiver and quarterback, but you have entire teams and all those points add up to what your average points are, and pretty much your average points win out. There's very little to do with your coaching skills. So this is like what a team would look like. And like I said, I'm not. These are like real players, which is curious to me. I don't know how. I mean, they have the NFLPA license, which is impressive. So they must be a bigger company than I would have thought, because that's really an expensive endeavor to get the NFLPA license. But they don't have the NFL license, so all their teams are fake, but the players are real. And you'll see that you don't see any logos, right? So none of these guys, you can see their logos. Their helmets might be showing, but it's just like the fronts. You can't see any team logos or anything like that. This guy, I think, is pretty clearly a Viking, but the reflection is kind of nulled out. You can see this Kansas City guy. His helmet is, it doesn't show its header. But there's a huge difference between these guys, and like I said, there's the different colors make them, they're better. Like this team is going to be better no matter what. It doesn't matter the formation. You can pick formations of plays and types of plays, but it's going to have very little effect on your game. But what I'm looking at here is to kind of see an idea of what like a menu might be. Now you can see some of these pages don't have much in the way of menu. So the mindset, okay, so this is the coaching profile, like what I'm setting up. But this is like nothing. This is like you get three options. You're either going to run focus, pass focus, or balance. So basically a little more of one than the other. I'm not told. I think attitude is aggressive or cautious, and you can see there's 5 levels of that. And then you got your passing preference. Whether you're going to go, I don't know, balanced, deep, or short, or something like that. Screenplays, how much screenplays? You got a little control. It's very minimal, and you're not going to really see any results. I mean, you're going to see how the game goes, but you're not really going to know how much. How well you did with screenplays, how well you did with your passes. You'll just see what your yardage is and and I don't even know how it calculates it, and I don't even know if your players have anything to say about it. Maybe it just matches up numbers. I don't know what it's doing, but it's pretty cryptic. It's not very clear what's going on. So this one too is not showing you a lot of their menus. It's just showing you the screen that's under the menus, which it's kind of frustrating because I wanted to see how these lay out, but I don't even remember this page on the game. Average per last 3 game statistics. Oh, I guess it's just showing how your team's playing. Challenge your friends. But you can see how all of the logos are erased from their helmets. Because obviously you could tell who these guys are, but their logos aren't visible. There are collectible things, like you can pick guys from the same state or city, and it adds a collectible element. But I mean, that could exist, but what good is it? It doesn't mean anything. It's just for fun. a difficult throw? Will it be caught? I don't know. It's asking you. 93-84. So this guy's pretty high up. He probably catches passes, right? But again, it doesn't really matter. There's not a whole lot of control over a lot of this stuff. You don't have any real say in pretty much any of this stuff. Now this is 25. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe I don't actually have football. I thought I had football head coach 25, but it could be I have 24. Because this has some weird extra things. The game is totally unbalanced, though. At times, your strategies mean very little. Trust me. And it's real easy to feel like you're in that. Whoops, you're in that zone of, pay to play. And that is not. Oh no, I have 25. Okay, so I can't easily show you what I'm looking at here, but well, I kind of sort of can, I suppose. Hold on. I haven't logged on in a long time rewards because it's blocking me from looking at the way the menus are. Okay. So with this game, for example, in a lot of games, the menu's on the left. Like I know that with Marvel Strike Force, they put a menu on the left. And then the rest of the game, the top has your coins, what your money is, what you've got. So that's all pretty standard fare. I know Watcher of Realms does the same thing. So does Marvel Snap. Marvel Snap has its own money system, but they also have all that up at the top. And I don't think Marvel Snap has a left menu, but so that's kind of what you have going. You have a left menu, and then at the top you have your coin distribution. Watcher of Realms doesn't really do the left menu, but they do have a lot of icon stuff. Icon menu. Excuse me, you click on a menu, it pops up. And even those, when you do pop-up screens, those have. So let's take a quick look at one. I think I have Watcher of Realms on here. And this is kind of like as I'm structuring and designing in my head how I want to build. I kind of want to go with the standards, format. Maybe not the same stuff. Like I won't have, and here's another thing. And I don't know why this is such a thing. But what's with all of the 50 different currencies that everybody has? Is that it's cool to have 50 different currencies? I mean, Marvel Snap has at least 4. They've got their cubes, they've got their gold, they have the crowns or whatever it is that you get when you're trying in the conquest, and they all get you different things, right? And it's because they want you to play those items. And, because if you could get like gold doing all one thing and everything was gold, then you could go into these other games and just do one thing and get the gold in those items, right? And I get that there is a sense to it, but do you really need like 5? Watcher of Realms they have your stamina, they have your. They have gold, they have your hearts, they have experience. I mean, there's just so many different things that you need to get, right? In fact, every one of your heroes in this game they level up by going out and getting a specific kind of level up skill. And I guess that kind of makes sense. It's experience meant for those guys, but it's not even experience, because experience is universal. You can get experience for all your guys and then just use it on who you want. And you can get all of the fighter skills for promotions and use it on any fighter, but it can only be used on fighters or healers or whatever. They all have their own little category of their own money. And then they've got their 5 or 6 different types of money that you can get. And it's really got a lot of different money. And a lot of these games do that. They just have a bajillion different kinds of money that you get for doing certain things. Now, is that a good thing or a bad thing? Well, I think there's overkill. I mean, I think I can see getting things that matter to like, they must have a recent update of stuff. I'm already a commander. Let's try that again. Okay. The latest and greatest. I'm not playing this. So but
believers of order, let us purge the remnants of chaos. Let the light in! Pity that your God doesn't care.
okay, who's that?
By my decree, this realm will know balance.
Got it. Okay. Storyline. What are you talking about? Oh, it's because I've already played and it's unlocking all my stuff. Because I haven't played this since I reinstalled everything on my computer. I think I've got everything really. Is that it? Are we done? Frostful Jammer. Hey, look, I got this. Let's see, I stopped at day 166. What is that, like half a year? 224. This was back in, I started in like April or May. And then, so 166 days, whatever that is. Okay, so look, you got all the, okay, this is another thing. You get all kinds of stuff. A lot of notices. All the red dots just mean they're giving you stuff. They're giving you information, but it's a lot. They give you, you're clicking on everything, and most of these don't do anything. They don't even, I mean, they're not even purchasables, right? They're just learn about absolutely everything. Guides and game news, update announcement. And this is just clicking around. And yeah, some of that might go somewhere. Jeez, you know, you're just... Okay, so... Fine. Oh, and you're gonna get your... This is your usual start. Now, I gotta say, Watch Your Realms is actually pretty good about ads. Everybody does their ads. They're free plays, right? But they don't push it that hard. At the beginning, you're gonna get 2 or 3, and every once in a while, you'll get 2 or 3. But you're not gonna be you're not gonna be forced to watch videos. You're not gonna be forced to do anything to continue playing. So generally, you're pretty good. But look, what I don't like, if you got rewards, like see all these presents. It's not the only place where you can get stuff, but they show you these, and you have to click everywhere, right? So you got here, then you might have this one, this one, and this one if you've got some stuff there. So you got to click through all of those, and then you go to here. I got all this stuff while I'm. So they got all these presents because they're giving me all kinds of crap, mostly because I haven't been around in a while. But then you have all these different events that are going on, and you're clicking on them. So a lot of times, you don't even know where to go to get the latest, you know, to get your recent, get all your goodies. You're just clicking around trying to find. trying to find all your goodies. So they have a lot, and I get it that some people kind of like this because it just means there's stuff to do. It's stuff. But the thing that lost me a little bit in the game, that's why I haven't played it as much, is right now I'm just getting all this stuff, but the games are like let's say here. So you can't go any farther on this one without. This is an auto fight, right? So there's not even any point in fighting. I can auto fight this and I will win. Okay. If you go to any of these gear raids that aren't locked, so I can't get. So this is what I'm talking about. This I've defeated. I can auto fight it and I'll play it every time. This one I haven't beat yet, so I have to fight it. But I can't because my guys are capped out. I mean, I really can't beat it. I've tried it many times. But the whole fight is winning these little battles with your heroes. And these are the fun parts. This is the game, the little battles that you have here. But you don't get to do them once you cap out. You're just constantly trying to upgrade your gear, get better and stronger, and hope that you can eventually go ahead and fight these again. You know, get the right guys, get the better gear. It just takes a long time. It could take weeks. I've gone times when I've gone a whole month or more unable to beat anything, and that was just in less than 6 months time. And I was finding that with everything on here, even when you go do like the tide. Oh wow, they totally changed up the tide. Oh, what did they do? They totally changed tide. Or unless it's just the way I came in. I don't even know what War Room is. That's a new thing. I've never seen that before. Oh, is that where you used to go for your adventuring? Oh yeah, they totally did some major updates. Okay, so this is the Void Rift. And then they added the tide over here. Huh. Okay. They still have the talents and stuff that you earn. So this is stuff you can get every day, but it's based on what your guys have gotten to. But again, I can't get to the next level. My guys are just too underpowered. I have to figure out how to get close. Every now and then I can peek them just enough and I get close enough to try again. And it tells you, like, if I click on... Okay, so like right here, my current BP is 69, suggested BP is 67. It seems like I'm close because I'm stronger, but unless they may have rebalanced some too, so maybe things are different. But and here's all the Void Rift stuff that I was going through. And again, I can do this. At least I can fight these, but they're all auto fights. When I get to the end, it's a little challenging, and sometimes I may or may not have to redo one. But I can't advance. I've tried to go to the next level and I get whooped, so I can't do anything. So there's a lot of that. So anyway, I came in here to check menus, and you see the same thing. You've got rubies, gold, and stamina at the top of this one, right? But you also need, I think there is, if you go to the shop here, they have kind of their left menu here. Almost all of the little screens that do have selectables, like the events, it's all on the left. So they do put their stuff on the left. Most menus are on the left now. They don't put them on the top. Which I think is probably good because top menus tend to be crowded, right? I mean, you can put how many of these? You can only put like 3 or 4 of these across the top, and then you'd be scrolling to see them all. Here you can see 6 or 7 before you have to scroll, which, by the way, they give you a lot of them. I don't even remember. How did I log in again after a 30-day absence? Hey, look, I did it. I didn't play for 30 days. They actually give you a reward for coming back. That's kind of funny. So they're trying to get you to come back and play. Which I get it. Hey, thanks for coming back, man. Here's an achievement for you. I like that. I may have to do that when you get people to come back. You know, have one of your players, you know, do something. I don't know. Maybe they're motivated by your rehiring and they get a perk for the next game or something. So I'm thinking, my brain is trying to move in a direction that how do I implement free-to-play without breaking the game? I don't want pay-to-play. I don't want people to feel FOMO. Was it fear of missing out? I mean, you gotta have some FOMO, right? I mean, you gotta have a little FOMO, because why would they buy it? Well, I can buy this later. You know, and then there's never any, but I don't want it to be so bad that you're like for example, fear of missing out is like, you've got a month to get this, like season pass, right? A season pass is kind of a FOMO, but you got a whole month to think about it, see how people play it. Maybe it's even good to let people try stuff out. You know, let them see what they like about it. And then they go, all right, but like, it's got to be something that gives people the feeling that if they miss it, it's a bummer, but it's not like, oh man, I'm going to be screwed because that thing was so good. I had to have it. I just had to. See, I don't want to have that. I want it to be like cool things that maybe, I don't want to maybe have FOMO, but maybe it'll come back every few months. You know, we'll rotate things. They always have a chance to come back. You're never going to be out of luck. You just don't know when you'll get it again. You know, another opportunity at it. Because I don't want one-time buys or things that people feel like, oh, I have to buy that. I don't want that. But I don't know. I mean, do you do some? I mean, I understand the premise of the money. Maybe there's some benefit to getting it early, but if you get it later, you don't get that benefit, but it's still available to you. You know, some quick benefit, like buy it now, get something, get some reward. You know, but when it comes back around, it won't have that reward attached. So your fear of missing out is the small little extra perks and awards that come with it, but they don't have as big of an effect. It's a motivator to buy now, but it's not like if you don't buy it now, you're never going to see it again, or it's going to cost 3 times as much, or some kind of thing where it's just going to be way worse, right? You know, you're going to feel screwed. All right, that's not cool. So anyway, that's my idea, and I was just kind of looking, like I said, how these guys. So you had gold and diamonds, but you also have these things, these little arena shards, and you have these 2 different colors of these things. I mean, you really do have a lot of different things that you can have money that goes towards, right? It's 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, I'm not in a guild because I got kicked out of my guild. I got kicked out because I wasn't playing, so I get it. I mean, I deserve it. I was pretty consistent for a while there. But I didn't, you know, I dropped the ball, so whatever. Anyhow, so there's a lot. There's like 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And they do left menus. They have the season pass like everybody else. And then they have these things, which is this kind of money, which I don't know if that's gold or what the heck that is. But you buy this with whatever. What I would like to do is, you know how season passes, nobody gets them unless you pay for them. To be honest, I think what I want to do is make them earnable. If you're a heavy player, your free to play is more lucrative. You know, maybe you earn stuff quicker. Maybe you can even earn enough if you play a lot to get a season pass for free. But you have to play like tons. Like if you're one of those guys that's on all, I've done it where I've been on all the time. Like when I first started playing Marvel Snap or some of these games, when you first get going, you're just like, and you'll still have things that you have to pay for, but I'm just saying like some of the paid items can be earned just in heavy duty play, which would be good for newbies, right? So, if somebody's been playing regularly and they taper off, and maybe now that they still like the game, but they're not earning those bonuses as much, they could pay. Maybe you get a dollar to hours ratio. So if you play 20 hours in a day, you could get more than if you just play a couple hours a day. But your couple hours a day can still accumulate, and maybe eventually it'll be enough to purchase a season pass. You maybe get yourself a free season pass once or twice a year, or if you play all the time, maybe you get one 4 times a year or 5 times a year. You wouldn't get it all the time. You'd still have to buy your own, but it would be, everything is accessible to everybody. Just some things are really hard to get. Some things are expensive, but it's earnable. Everything is potentially available. And I mean everything. I mean the cool suits, the cool everything, but some of them will just be crazy hard to get if you're only playing for free. Like maybe you can earn up, color or cosmetic points playing a ton. The more you play, the more you earn of cosmetic points. And they wouldn't be called that because that's stupid, but it'd be whatever it is that you want to call that you use to buy cosmetic items. And cosmetic items are kind of the things you normally pay for in a good free-to-play because they don't break the game. But you can actually get those. Say something costs $50. Now that's an expensive item. Maybe, but you've been saving up your cosmetic coin. I just keep making up words. Cosmetic coin for 6 months of heavy duty play, and finally you see this item that you really want. Hopefully you keep seeing things you really want, but you can still use it. Maybe 6 months might buy you a $50 item, but maybe you've earned enough to only have to pay half. You just use your cosmetic coin plus whatever you pay the difference. So playing a lot could give you discounts on stuff. Just playing consistently makes everything available to you at a discount. Maybe, That's my idea. I want everything to have everybody be available. You can get it for free. You can earn stuff. I like the idea of being able to lock things. You see this item you really, really want, and you can lock it. But not endlessly. Like you can maybe lock one item, if you see $100 item and you really want it, you can lock it and maybe earn enough to get it in time. Knowing that stuff is normally purchased, but you have an opportunity to try to purchase it. It doesn't matter what it is, you can lock it down. Or you can maybe, when you get some money, buy it. Or maybe you get it down to where you've earned enough free credit to drive it down to 25% of the cost, and you just pay the 25%. I don't know. That's my thought. I think early on it could be problematic because early on everybody's a big player, right? Everybody plays a ton. But in the long term, that same strategy, everybody who's been playing a ton kind of drops off a little bit, but new people come in, but now they're playing a ton and they're getting stuff, and so that helps them to balance out or catch up a little bit because they're playing a lot and earning things for free. And there's always going to be the pay people who want to pay and catch up that way, but that's kind of my idea. And maybe motivate early on for people to buy more. It's just offer some extra deals during the first few months where you're trying to get those people who are hot and heavy early on to purchase things, just so that the game can, earn something out the gate. I even thought about trying to make, if the game is my primary objective, making having a pay value, a max pay value. Like buy a maybe instead of a season pass, you buy an annual pass, and you pay one flat fee, and everything that comes out for at a certain level is unlocked to you. You get all the stuff. Maybe not everything in the game unless you pay, whatever, because some stuff is more, but maybe you just get it all because you paid for it. Because I feel like a good game should be finite in cost. I mean, look at Baldur's Gate. People pay $70, and that's it. The game, you're done. I mean, that's all you have to pay. You finish the game, it's yours. Now, granted, you're not going to keep getting updates. So I'm thinking like it'd be like an annual pass, or you can buy a 6-month pass or something that allows you to unlock most everything with possible very limited exceptions. Maybe if you bought the annual pass, there'll be special add-ons or something that you get, or maybe anything that you don't get automatically will be like heavily reduced in cost because now you've bought an unlock that locks everything at X tier and everything else is 50% off. So you're basically getting everything because you paid a fair amount to get to play. And if you don't want to do it again next 6 months, you don't. But everybody can buy a limited. If you love the game, you don't have to keep dishing out money. That's kind of what I like. I like the idea that you can pay one price and get to play the game with, maybe there's different tiers like unlock 2 years of season passes. So now you've got this game for 2 years. You're going to get all the upgrades, everything that comes along, and you get all the season passes for 2 years. And you only have to pay X dollars. Versus having to pay the monthly amount. Yeah, it's going to be kind of pricey to buy that, but it's going to be cheaper than buying them outright. You have a cap. Or maybe even allow people to earn their way into that, buy X amount of season passes, get this many free. You just earn into them. Maybe if you buy them, I would even say buy them if they get 6 without even being inconsistency. I want to provide benefit that makes you want to pay, but doesn't make you pay to get everything. That's my goal. I don't want people to necessarily feel strong FOMO, but a willingness to pay more because they're going to get more. That kind of thing. It's not a fear of missing out because you can still get that stuff. You could just maybe get it, a little cheaper if you're willing to pay a little bit more. So that kind of thing. I don't know. That's my goal, but we're not even there. I have ideas for what's going to cost, but I don't know what's going to be costing yet. And ultimately, I just don't want my game to be that game where people feel like everything is all about making people feel that sucky FOMO feeling. People like Marvel Snap. There is nobody out there who says the gameplay isn't good. But what they don't like is the fact that there's not enough types of good gameplay, and that when they do, it's all about buying more. Buy this, buy that, buy this, buy that. And the FOMO stuff. If you don't do this, then you can't play. If you don't do this, you can't play. There's these really good cards, but if you really want to get them, you have to pay. That's, because the problem is you can't win the really good cards at the end of Deadpool's Diner unless you're paying money. I mean, you could be really good, but it don't take anything to lose all your... But you're basically gambling all the way up, right? And they're trying to get you to pay more to go play. Hey, Nintendo. Man, isn't it late for you? I thought this is like... You're usually... it's like 2 hours later for you, so it's like 10:30. Oh, you just woke up. Yeah, it's like... You're... like now you're in Ohio, right? So that's 3 hours? No, that's 2 hours difference. So yeah, you're like 10:30. You just woke up. I thought you worked early in the morning. Did you take a power nap? I've been talking about how I want my game to be as far as the free-to-play. So I was just stating how I think FOMO is bad, right? You don't want to always feel you don't want to feel, yeah, Ohio, that's what I thought. Because I was talking about Origins. Did you ever answer me? Had you ever heard of Origins? Had you been to Origins before? Because that's how I've been down there. Oh, so you are 3 hours. Wow, I didn't know if Ohio was that far over. I thought maybe you were Central Standard Time. So you're Eastern Time. Wow. But anyway, so yeah, I was talking about how the cards, or how all these games have a million different credits, I'm trying to determine how I want my menus to lay out. Because you can see in my app here, I have the menus on the top, which is not standard. So I got to move my menus to the left, because that's more the standard. So I want mine to kind of have that. And I got to start thinking in my head how I want my app to look, right? I mean, there's going to be the PC look, but there's also got to be the phone look, right? Because phones are like this and PCs are landscape. So that's all stuff that I got to start considering too. And that means getting my app out on the web so that I can start testing it with other tools, at least the website one. Hey, my clock shrink. What the heck? Why did my clock shrink? It wasn't shrunk before. It was the same size. What happened? I didn't even do nothing. Anyway, so I came over here to try to start playing with how my stuff is going to get called. Did it shrink? Because, is it about this? No? Huh. I don't know why it did that. It's not about the size of the window, right? Oh, it is kind of the size of the window. Well, that's not good. Oh, look at that. It's being driven by the width of my window. That's not good. I think I need to lock it down to the size of my of the cell it's in. That's interesting. I don't want to mess with it right now. That's not my current problem. Okay, so anyway, yeah, and there's just so many things you got to consider when you're doing a free-to-play game, right? Because especially one that's good. And you see the problems of good games that get lost in the I need money state of mind, like Marvel Snap. Good game, but it's starting to push too far to the money side. And you got other games that never even really considered the game. Not enough. They put features in, but then they started thinking of all the ways they could make it charge you, and it just came out as a game that's... This Football Head Coach 25 I thought was pretty good until I realized that it's really not. Because you hit this ceiling of just get your guys as high as you can, and then they just kind of... There's not much you can do. There's no real control. And then there's... NFL 2K Playmakers looked good, and it looks good for about the first day, or maybe even only the first hours if you play a lot, you start realizing, wait a minute, this is fake. It's all just videos. It's all just what do you call it? Fixed results that are odds incentives? No, odds controlled results. So different things change the odds, and then they flip the coin, and when you get a percentage chance of changing the results, or getting results in your favor or against you, depending on who's got the better favor. So all these games kind of do interesting things. I liked the way NFL 2K Playmakers actually you could attach players to real games, which was kind of cool. Kind of a fantasy results kind of thing. It didn't really have any effect on the rest of your game. In fact, some of these games I noticed, they do all these other little features that don't tie together in any way. They don't have any effect on each other. One might earn you these kind of coins, and one earns you those kind of coins, and one does you this, and one does that, and none of your guys affect, except they might go towards your getting more cards. I guess ultimately they all might give you some stuff to get more cards that might work in different areas. I don't know. It's I don't know. I just feel like there's no synergy in a lot of these games where things don't seem to have an effect. Football Head Coach 25, I don't think it was ever really well thought out for the purposes of gameplay. I think it's a cool game for what it is, but once people realize that it's what it is, they lose it. And NFL 2K Playmakers, I think its problem was it wanted to be a football game, but it can't because an NFL game, but it can't because Madden owns all the licenses to NFL, and I guess they didn't want to be a company that just made a generic football game. I think they could have, but they didn't want to. And so a lot of their games are kind of hokey. So yeah, it's kind of a money grab, and it just wasn't designed well, or it's just somebody just wanted to put a game out there for football. Hey, we're NFL 2K, buy our game or get our game. It's a free download, and then maybe pay us a little bit of money. And you will at first, because you're probably like, oh, this is kind of cool. I really like the way this plays. Maybe eventually I'll get to play a whole game. You don't get to play a whole game ever. Don't get caught up in that, because it feels like at first you're just starting out, like it all feels tutorial-esque because you're going through these little tests and these little challenges, and I'm thinking, oh, these are just the little learn how to play kind of things, and then you realize that is the game. That they give you these challenges, and you're just progressing through a season completing challenges, and I'm like, really? And then you start realizing that the visuals are just, there's like two results. There's a fail and a success, and they look exactly the same, and they're exactly the same amount of yards. Either, whatever the fail yards is, -2, -5, whatever, or the positive yards, which could be 14 or 12 or whatever that play is. There is no in the middle or above, unless it goes into the end zone, and then that's a less. But there is no more. The only time there's a chance at more is like if you have a bomb play. Now, bomb play, if it's a success, will most likely result in a touchdown, but it's only if it's a success, and those usually have very small percentage chance. So you're not doing that. But again, it's not like you connect a big bomb and somebody might run you down. Nope. You connect, you're going in for the end zone. And it's so bad that sometimes the odds just go against you, but they only have two failure situations, or three, because I'll have a sack, an incomplete, and a success, which would be a touchdown. And what the sad thing is, when the incomplete on some of those plays is a total drop. I mean, like, the ball hits the guy in the chest, the defender fell down like 5 yards ago, so you're like wide open. And every time he throws it over there, if it's an incomplete, it'll just hit him in the chest and fall on the ground. Incomplete pass. And you're like, Well, that is just stupid. It's not even, they don't even try to make the video look like it was a close play. It was just, the guy fell down 5 yards ago, your guy turned around and dropped the ball. or even like he reached out or it was overthrown. They could have easily made the video, since it's a fixed video, they could have easily just made one that looked like it was at least challenging. No, this guy just blops the ball. I'm like, really? That's what I got to look at every time I fail? That was bad. But yeah, and I was complaining about other games too, because a lot of free-to-plays have the same problems. The gacha games, Watcher of Realms does pretty good though. For the most part, they got the little parts where you're just auto playing a lot are kind of cool. A lot of them, and they're kind of fun to watch. But you get burned out on it in time, and that's what happened to me. Played for about I logged on a minute ago. I got 166 days, and now I don't play. I rarely play. I turn it on every now and then just because I think it's kind of a cool looking game. It's a beautiful game. I mean, they did a really good job graphically. But the gameplay was fun for a while until you cap out if you're a free to player. Anyway, so yeah, there you go. I was just talking about how I want my menus to look. I got to make some adjustments. I'm going to start adding play stuff. One of the things I need to do is start consuming my API, which I've been kind of tweaking, and I'm kind of getting a better feel for how it works over the last few days. So what I wanted to do here in the next hour is, it was going to be the next hour and a half, but I talk too much. So, all right, so let's go ahead and create a new folder here. Let's see, new folder. I wonder if I could do, no, I can't. I was going to say I could do a new file add like you do with the other one, but you can't. Okay, so we're going to rename this. Oh, I have to stop it. I don't even remember starting that game. Alright, so new folder. We're going to call this one, we'll call it coaching profile. Why not? I already called one coaching profile, but I don't actually have the page coaching profile. So the nav bar. Oh, that's CSS. Simulator, yard simulator, play simulator. Oh, I'm not even doing those. See, I had all these names. totally changed it. So simulator, coaching profile is now going to be, let's call it coach. And then we'll call this one player. And we'll call this one account. So then we'll go up here, and since we're working on that, we're going to actually have this one called coach. And then we'll have a page.jsx. Add a new file. Page.jsx. And let's see here. Well, I kind of started mocking up a coaching page, a coach page. So we're going to go ahead and turn this on. And we'll go over to my Pro Football Fantasy Manager scribbles. Gotta like my handwriting, huh? Isn't that pretty? Look, it's hard to write vertically on a slippery screen with a slippery stylus thing. Because I draw with it out in front of me, like it's right in front of me here. And it's vertical and stuff. And I'm using a Surface Pen. If I had it down on the table, I'd probably still be bad. But it wouldn't be this bad. It'd be a little straighter. Those lines are perfectly horizontal. You just can't tell. And if you can't read this, it's mostly because your eyes are crooked. Has nothing to do with the picture. Get your glasses checked. Your glasses are seeing things wobbly. So, really, this is the game plan. It's not the coach. The coach, I have a coach card here, which is also going to be here. So what I'm thinking is I may have to put something like, I always feel weird about starting with a blank page. I always want to edit a page. I don't know why. Is that a weird thing? Game results. I don't know. It just feels like there should be something there to work with. It probably is a weird thing. I mean, really? I guess I don't have to do anything. I don't have really anything to do yet, so. All right, well, let's just do it. You gotta, at some point, you gotta just say, "Can't get over it." Write the thing out, man. So, this page. We'll go over to my new page. Would it be weird to not respond to a statement? It's late at night. Maybe he thinks I'm asleep now. It's like, and I don't know. Oh, God. Yeah, my dad just made he made a thing I need to respond to, but I got to think about it. He made an offer thing, and I got a little. So now I gotta mull it over, talk to my wife about it. So we'll see. Anyway, it's distracted me for a moment. Okay, I'll get back on track here. So we have my page, which is going to call not game result, but we'll call it we will call it game plan. And then I have to go over to my solution here and go to my component, and we'll create a game plan component. So we'll say add new. Obviously it thinks I'm using TypeScript. I don't know why. Game plan dot. Oh, if statement. Gee, I don't even know what if statement you were talking about now. See? This is what happens when you got a delay in the text. So I was talking about a game. You were talking about the if statement. I don't even know what if statement you mean. Did I have an if statement somewhere? Or are you talking about what I had showing? Or what was that in my this if statement? The listen and serve if statement that was right here, because I had this showing. This was me learning the graceful shutdown of my API or my microservice calls, HTTP handlers. So I'm really considering rewriting my nav bar so it's vertical. And I'm thinking I might even get rid of the background or thin the background. Background's way too thick. How can I do this? Icon provider value, class name, navbar. Mm-hmm. So Marvel Strike Force, it has a right menu. What do you think about menus that pop out and cover up the window? See, I don't know that I'm a fan of it. Because you have to because you got your app and then it covers part of your app. And then when you want to get out of the menu, you have to click some random spot to get back to what was underneath the menu. I mean, it looks kind of cool, but like even this, it pops out over the screen. But now this goes away as soon as your mouse leaves it. But when you're on a phone, there's no mouse. So it doesn't go away unless you touch something else. I know that's pretty normal, but I don't know. I'm not sure I personally am a fan of it. Is it cool? Is it smooth? I don't know. I kind of go back and forth on wondering if it'd be better just to push the screen over, but maybe that's not a good idea because you push it, that means things go off screen. Then there's the other reshaping it. That's not good either because that means you have to deal with distortions and crap. But it would only last until the menu went away. But then if you come back and you touch and I don't it just feels weird. All right, so we got nav menu, class name, nav menu right. Why is it nav menu right when it's on the top? That's weird. CSS, nav bar, nav menu active. Nav menu right. I mean, margin right to rim. Okay, so this is just text align right. So everything just went to the right is really all that happened. And then we have the nav bar. Image, centering the image within its space. And then we have, honestly, that image is just the image of the game. I wonder if it'd be better to move, okay. All right, let's not worry about it. Let's go to my game plan page. Because again, I'm getting distracted by things that don't matter. So we're gonna go. I probably should have a JSX, probably be the same JSX. Copy, we'll stick that in my coach. You know what? Let's go here and add. This is a pretty generic little log, but what is it, 16? And then we'll put one up here. We'll call it, what was the day I added? Was that 15? 14? 14. I'll say 14. Because today is Monday. When did I add the scroll lines? Or the scrimmage lines? Was that Friday? Gosh, that was a long time ago. Alright, so what might have even been the 11th, last Thursday? I'll say, first down line and scrimmage line added. Play clock added. Yeah, well, you know, in terms of how long I've been developing this app, that is pretty long ago. Because I've only been developing it for what, 4 weeks? I think I don't even know if I fully hit 4 weeks yet. So, you know, it is kind of quick. Now, eventually, a long time ago will not be last week. But even so, like in my head, I feel like I just added it, like just a day or two ago, but it's actually been 4 days, 3 days, 4 days, something like that. And when I'm coding almost every day, it seems like everything is close together, it's squished, even though, you know, it's not. All right, so we don't have anything else there. Where's navbar? It's funny, this one doesn't have navbar on it. How are we getting anywhere without the navbar? When this one loads, oh, it must just be the page that shows up under, oh, okay, never mind. I'm not calling a component, that's why. This one just is text. Okay, so this one has game plan on the page.jsx. And this one has game result on page.jsx. So we got the game plan. So now I got to create a file, game plan, which I guess I have here. And then ultimately I just need to add stuff. Let's add stuff. I almost feel like if I add everything to the components folder, it's going to be, the components folder is going to be everything. It's the entire app is going to be in the components folder. I'll just be calling the components folder. I almost need to categorize my components in some way so they're not all like in one place. It feels clunky to have them all grouped together like that. I don't know. I mean, I know that's kind of standard. Components are where your components go, but it seems weird. What was, oh, I don't think I have it. See, that's one of the problems. I have, I think this is the only one that renders anything. I don't even, what is this? Oh my gosh. Huh. Wow. This was like the very, 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 very first thing I did. I had this result output, which was just me calling the quarter and dropping random values in there. It didn't do much. This was the day one proof of concept stuff. Yeah, I just got to define where. Like, I almost need, like, thing is, you have like 1 or 2 components per item. Like coach might have its own components. The thing is about components is you almost want the component folders should be shared components that can pop up underneath anything, right? And then if it only shows up as a component of one object simply because you wanted to pull it out of the main page, it's like if you're going to navigate to a component from multiple places, you might have it in a components folder. If you're going to navigate only from like one place, like I could maybe see game result being here, but I don't know that coach needs to be here, you know? I mean, when would I ever reference the coach page outside of this? I'm wondering if, you know what, I think I might just drag it over and put it in coach. It just doesn't make sense to have it in the component folder. I can see I may have a need to call this simulator from different locations because I may have different features that simulate a game, and we may have to pass certain information to that, and that simulator might be like they come from the league page, or they come from a special what do you call it, quick simulation page or simulation link. You know, there could be multiple ways that you might get to the simulator. And the simulator may be different for each of those ways based on how it's being called. Maybe it looks different, maybe it's got a different styling, but it's still the same simulator, so we would call that component. And so I could see that being possibly shared. Like the nav bar, okay, that's shared. It's going to be on multiple things. Offensive play and special teams play and coach, which may not even exist, because those things are going to eventually just end up being API calls. So we're going to call an API. It may just be, I may just end up having a play call, a thing called, you know, start sim, or you know, something where I'm going to send out a method or a feature that's going to go out and get a play, and then that play is going to return to the parent, and the parent's going to render it. Because all I want my parent to do is render. Like I said, I want my UIs to be dumb. They don't know anything about the processing that goes behind the scenes. Right now, all of my offensive play, special teams, coaching stuff is here in this app, but eventually I'm going to pull it all out. It's just going to be a single call back to the APIs. The API is going to provide the information, and it's going to get rendered. And so a lot of this may not exist. Now the play clock is just part of simulator. So a lot of these things are just simulator things, like the offensive play, the play clock, the special teams play. Heck, even game result is all part of the simulator. In fact, kind of technically, game result is the simulator. The page is just encapsulating it. We've got just all this does is call it. That's all it does. We got a div and my game result. That's all it does. Nothing fancy, nothing schmancy. Simple call to the page. But yeah, I could almost put all of these parts inside of the simulator, because they're not going to get called from anything else. And then my components would just be shared components. This could almost be called shared, but all right, so I have my coach.jsx, and then I should have in here my gameplan.jsx, which is part of what the coach does. So I'm going to put that over here too. That's part of the coaching menu. That's all going to be on there. So now how do I make this look good in the UI? That's the $1,000,000 question. Let's see. How can I make the UI? I gotta have. I think what I want my page to do is just be. Let's go to the game plan. Game plan doesn't do anything yet, but I want it to be really dumb, like it doesn't do anything significant. But what I want it to do is be my test bed for my first call to my API. So we're going to get rid of this and this, and we're going to go up to my ChatGPT, and we're going to update my React code. So the update your React code. All right. So use state React function app, call gRPC gateway async. All right, let's do this. I'm just going to copy this. I may have to rename it, make it something else, but so this is supposed to call my gateway, and I have no, let's see, input on click, call gRPC gateway, call gRPC. Well, we'll say call PFFM gateway because that's what it is. And then we're going to go up to the handler. I'm building everything in with PFFM, and that's just a working title. So I'm probably going to end up being like changing the name to something else, and then all my code will have PFFM in it. We're going to be like, what the heck is that? Call. Oh. And it'll make more sense the way this is laid out. Because when you go to the coach, you're like, oh, hey, the coach and his game plan and all the stuff that goes along with it. But since the game plan is the piece I've been building up as my first piece of the gRPC gateway, PFFM gateway test. Text placeholder, enter ID. Enter ID. I'll have to have something that just feeds back like a message or something, because we got the response and we're going to just paste out the response. Response is response, and response is this Axios post localhost example data. I got to try and determine what my gateway call is. See, I'm still a little on the not sure what I'm doing side of things on this stuff. Getting there, but and that's why I want to. Okay, so I may even have to ask my buddy. I need to see an end-to-end success here. Now this runs, but all right, so I'm going to call the gateway. Main, new client. All right, so let's go see this example again. I'm wondering if I should use Axios, to be honest, because it's like Axios makes it better, but I also don't fully, it's like you're using a new a code that simplifies without knowing what the code it's simplifying is. So I almost feel like I should just use this. And the reason being too, is it more efficient, concise, and handles errors more gracefully? It's not, I mean, I guess it's not that different. Okay, so the gRPC gateway exposes HTTP endpoints corresponding to your gRPC methods. For example, if your proto file defines blah, 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 the gRPC gateway typically generates endpoints like case 80 example data. Okay, so that means I need to go in here and see if I have endpoints. Endpoints are, I don't necessarily see them. Oh, this is, okay, it's probably because I don't have it all up here. Haha, endpoints. Nope, those aren't endpoints, those are imports. Okay, here's one. Full method name. The gRPC endpoint typically endpoints like. Is there a post? I don't even think there's a post on here. Do I like coding? I like coding when I can code something I like. I like coding to create things I like creating. Okay, I've been a developer now for a long time, like a very long time, like a very long time. So I'm getting to that point where it's like I don't want to keep doing it for other people, but I may not have a choice. I need a job, so I'm going to have to get a job, or my Indiegogo is going to have to go nuts. Which, by the way, I moved it. It's not tomorrow. It's going to be Wednesday. I don't know why. I just decided Wednesday instead. I didn't want to do it tomorrow. But that's what I'm telling you right now is Wednesday. So I'm going to do it on Wednesday. And it's about making, you got to live, right? That's what it comes down to. You got to live. So if I have to go out and work for someone else, I will. And I'll keep looking, and I'll work, and I'll do the job because that's what I do. And, yeah, I mean, it's more fun to develop for yourself, right? But it's also just as fun to eat. So, yeah, you gotta you gotta do what you gotta do, man. Yeah. I do get kind of attached to having a roof over my head. I don't know why. Just I get attached to things, I guess. All right, so I'm not seeing what are these. All right, so all right, so let's try this. My gateway is created in Go. It uses proto. Let's see. If you're proto.proto file, I have this. But what's the defines service message. All right, I have those. So you call example. Oh, example data. Oh, okay. So my endpoint is create game plan. Oh. Oh, okay. So I just need to call create game plan. And so when you, I don't know what V1 is. Is that just the page? I don't know what V1 is supposed to represent, like version 1, but does that like mean I have my, they're just assuming that's in my path? I think they're just assuming that's in my path somehow. So I don't think V1 is an actual. You have V1 in your example. Endpoint path. Is that a required piece? I don't see it defined. The V1 path can be defined explicitly in your profile in HTTP annotation, gRPC gateway. Great question. The V1 part of the endpoint path is not mandatory, but is often included in gRPC gateway implementations as part of a versioning strategy. It ensures your API remains manageable when changes or updates are introduced in the future. Did I do? Is it done? See, this has post V1 in the proto file. I don't have any post V1 in my stuff. Get RPC examples. I mean, it's interesting. I understand the premise of it. No, I knew it was a versioning file. I knew it was a versioning thing, but when it's building the samples, it assumed that V1 exists, and I'm like, is that like by default built in? I mean, I knew what its purpose is, but I'm like, is that something I'm not seeing in the dynamic code of the proto file? Because when you run the proto file, it creates the PB Go and stuff, and I'm like, is there something I'm missing on how it's generating those files? So that's what I was asking. I was trying to understand why it assumed it was there, because if you look at its sample here, there's no V1 in this proto file, but yet its example shows a V1. So I ask about it. And when I asked about it, it goes, yeah, it could be defined there. See, it would be defined like this. But I'm like, okay, but it wasn't. So why did you put the V1 in there? I do like that it shows you how it can be defined. Okay. But if I was to use your example, it wouldn't work because mine doesn't have a V1 and neither did yours. It's kind of like, what are you giving me this? These don't match. I don't understand what you're doing. So, I don't know. But it's not there. You can put it in there like this, like it says, and I get it, but it's not. Here, the line proto v1 example data explicitly sets the v1. No, it's not required. If you don't include v1 or similar versioning prefixes, your endpoint path will look like right, and that's what I thought. You can simplify the post path to whatever you prefer, such as, oh, yeah. So, yeah, I get it. You can add v1, and that makes sense, and maybe I should. But if I do that, doesn't it hard code my code? I mean, if I put v1 in here And then what? I have to change the v1 every time to v2, v3, or v2, v1.5 or v2 or whatever the heck. I don't know if it makes sense. So I'd have to change my endpoints every time I run this code, or change the code, or every time I update the version. But then, why would I? Because that would mean any link to the endpoint I guess it makes sure that your code is always calling the latest version, but basically it would 404 error, right? Yeah, you'd get a lot of errors if you didn't have the endpoints caught up. V1 is not required. It's just a versioning convention. If you do see V1 defined in your protofile, your endpoints will not include it. Yeah, well, my protofile does not have a V1. So, I mean, like I said, the reason I'm questioning it so much right now is I'm wondering if I should add it. But I'm also trying to figure out the benefit of adding it, because I feel like it's going to cause me consternation, because I'm going to be adding this Google API equals post. It is kind of interesting, though, because this says example data is get naturally ignored, because it's called post blah 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 example data, right, in the proto file, but it's not called example data above. It's called get example data. Now, if you define your endpoint to say example data, so is it just by default smart enough to get rid of to know that you're talking about example data like that? Without putting this? Huh. So what would that be? It wouldn't be called create game plan. It would just be called game plan? Ah, that can't be right. Because how does it know what part to cut off? It'd be like... See, I feel like this is assuming this. And my code, and it doesn't... Okay, so all right, so I gotta ask it another question. So is the service smart enough to interpret example data as a valid endpoint if the service is called get example data and you don't have the path explicitly defined, i.e., how would this service be called? I feel like it's taking shortcuts or making assumptions. I feel like this service would be called create game plan, not game plan. Or it's a get game plan. It should be, it's not going to assume the definition of get being deleted. And that's what's kind of weird to me. It shouldn't, how would it know that? See, it is create. If you don't explicitly define HTTP paths using Google annotations in your total file, the file does not automatically infer clean REST-like paths, such as example data. By default, gRPC methods are exposed as paths that follow gRPC-like convention. For example, that protofile you provided, blah, blah, blah. Default path without explicit HTTP annotation, create game plan, will look like this. Path breakdown, API, the service name, create game plan, the method name. The HTTP path follows the gRPC convention. Example request. Using curl or a tool like Postman, you would send a request like this. Field 1 value, field 2 value. Here, HTTP localhost is the gRPC gateway endpoint. API.gameplan service, create game plan is the default path. The request body should match the create game plan request message. How to make it clean. Then modify the create game plan method as follows. First, ensure your protofile imports the annotations.protofile. Yeah, see, okay, all these examples, they don't hallucinate, elaborates, presumptuates. Yeah, that's true. I know. I usually give it more. I thought you ask it a simple question, it gives you a simple answer. But sometimes ask it a simple question, it gives you a wrong answer. It gives you a complex wrong answer. It's like, no, that's not what I'm doing. So yeah, giving it more info makes a big difference. And you're totally right on that. It's interesting though. I've been following a number of guys who are showing me examples of how to do microservices. I've now watched 2 or 3 of them, and none of them have mentioned this annotation thing. Not one has mentioned this annotation import. And these guys, they have varying levels of well, they all have massive amounts of experience having done this for a long time, or at least that's what they claim. And they're teaching people how to do this stuff. 2 of them are pretty good at teaching. One of them's just really good at showing, but doesn't teach you squat, because if you don't understand it, you're going to get lost. The other 2 are pretty good. One guy's going really slow, though. I like that in a sense, but at the same time, he's like, come on, catch up to what I'm doing so that I can do my thing. And then this other guy, he's doing his, and his is pretty good, but he's also kind of going a different direction with some of this, and he's using a slightly different logic. Here's the problem with YouTube also. One of those guys is 4 months in the past, having done his videos. One guy is 4 years in the past, and one guy's 2 years in the past. The 4-year and the 2-year guys are the best teachers, but also they're using code that's already starting to have deprecated parts. Oh, NetNinja's great, but they're the same thing. They have the same kind of problem. It's like they get dated after a while. No, I've done a few NetNinja. In fact, my first Next.js and React classes were NetNinja. I actually paid the monthly and did like 3 of his different courses. At the time, I wasn't doing any gRPC or anything like that. I don't even know if they do a gRPC microservices thing. They do have a Go, which I might want to look into his Go stuff. But the problem is, I want to say I'm beyond beginner, but I'm not really beyond beginner. I mean, there's things I don't know. But there's another guy that I've been watching on here that's going through and teaching a lot of the basics of Go. So I've been doing a lot of that stuff. So I'm starting to conceive and notice I'm learning the syntax of stuff and understanding more and more how Go comes together, which is the goal, right? But again, a lot of times these people are a little bit years past, and their stuff is getting getting outdated because it's not. To some extent, the basics are going to still be the same, but like there'll be methods and functions and stuff like that don't work the same way anymore. So ultimately, I'm still trying to decide if I want to do this thing that this thing's doing, or just call create game plan. Yeah, I mean, ultimately, that's the thing. Learning the basic functions and syntax are not functions, but structures and syntax, how they do all the stuff. Like these message things. That's new to me. I've never seen this before. Message objects like this. Now, this is probably gRPC's thing, but still I'm kind of taking a all at once approach, right? So I'm learning React, Next.js, gRPC, Go, and I've even been starting to play with like Framer, Motion, which is now I guess just called Motion. But I'm doing an all at once thing, and as I go through each piece, I have to learn that logic enough to get pieces done, and then hopefully I learn enough that I can start gluing that into my X piece, into my next piece, and then in 6 months or so, I hopefully will be starting to do some Unity stuff. And then I'll be doing my Go, being called by Unity, being called by React, and everything's calling everything, and it's all going to be doing its thing, and I'm using the different methods and functions. So it's a lot going on, but it also helps me to tie everything together because I'm a full stack developer. I like to know how things work from the back to the front. And the one thing that's bugging me so far with all these trainings that they're doing for microservices, none of them connect to a database. They're going to. A lot of them say, oh, we're going to connect to Mongo, which is great because that's what I'm going to use. But I want to glue my stuff in. I want to pull real data back. So, and as I was like, all right, just pull it back. Let's get the function to work. So here's one of my questions right now is, I'm returning a game plan. Do I really want it to be called create a game plan? Because am I creating a game plan? I think at first I'm just going to read it, but it's not going to have any data. Yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm trying to decide right now. I kind of thought the first thing a user would do is create a game plan. You go to the page. It has all of its fields, and nothing's doing anything, right? But I'm thinking you push a button and it creates a game plan. But I'm wondering if that's even the best way to do that. I'm thinking maybe we do preload a game plan. It's just got all the defaults, which means you get the dummy default game plan, which is just get game plan. And then when you save, it'll create a new game plan for you. Based on your user ID. In which case I have no data. I mean, I have nothing to pull back. So I almost need to make this dummy enough to actually just return something. Because all I wanted to do is return some nonsensical thing just so that I could see it read my data in. So I could see that piece. And that's kind of what I'm thinking I need to do. Create something more generic than what I'm doing. Because none of these things return any data. They don't do anything. But I am thinking that it's going to be a get game plan, and then I'll have to have a call that says save game plan. And that means my whole strategy here has got to change. And you know why I did this? Why it was called create? Is because I was following along another guy doing his microservices thing, and I'm like, he's creating orders. I don't want orders. I'm creating game plans. So he was creating an order. I'm creating a game plan. So I thought that's what I was doing. But I was like, I'm really not. I'm going to create one, and then I'm going to save it. And ultimately, I'm almost wondering, if I should get, if I should just create a game plan when a person creates their user account. You know, just they have a user account, bam, the thing sets up for them. You know, maybe it just points, maybe it's just a game plan link to the default, and then when they save, it saves under their new UID rather than automatically creating it. They have a game plan ID that points to the default, and then the default loads up, you know, if they don't have one, like that kind of thing. Because I have to have game plans in there, and I'll have to have a default game plan that everybody's going to get. It's just going to be the generic game plan. It's the game plan, you know, that comes with, like, my thought is when you start the game, you get certain cards right out the gate. You have to. You got to get something to play with, right? You got to have some kind of setup. So you get a couple of boosters, just enough to start setting up your game, you know, get your players in place. Maybe even a random set of starter guys. Or I give everybody the same starter guys. I don't know if I like that. I want there to be randomization. You get the first 100 people download this game, there should be a pretty good chance that they all have different teams. Because my teams are going to be balanced. But yet, so one of the things I did with all of my statistics when I created my my game formulas for all my players, I wrote a team generator that goes through all the players, reading all their salaries and all the positions, and generates a certain number of teams based on all the players. So I can say, give me 10 teams. And it'll purposely go and try to build 10 unique teams with their own set of players that come within a certain range of salary. So I would tell it, like, you know, a salary of 47 million. It says, give me as, you know, close as you can with each team. So it would go through every position, loading up the team, go to the next team. And then if it couldn't do it, it would go back and start over. So, because certain things, you know, they wouldn't balance out. So basically, it would take a few minutes. It would go through all the stats. And when it finally was able to generate the number of teams, so the more teams I told it to generate, the harder it was. And sometimes it couldn't do it, but because I didn't have enough players in the board. But if I had them, it would generate the teams and come up with X amount of teams. So maybe if I do one season's worth of teams or players like I bought, maybe there's only 10 possible starting teams. But in time, maybe I'll have 20 seasons, and that starts to scramble, and more players over time have more and more options for what they can put into the get for random players. And because basically what I was trying to do was come up with starting decks, because when it's a board game, I wanted to have like packs that I could say, all right, I'm gonna have 10 different packs. People can buy these packs to start, and it would actually tell them what was in them, because I didn't want to do the what do you call it, hidden cards or whatever it is, blind packs. I wanted to actually say what was in there. And so you could buy the packs you wanted. You just buy the packs that, if say you wanted certain players, you could have it. And the idea was to try to build them in a way that they were scattered enough that you couldn't really guarantee, you might get a guy you want, but you might have your guy, like say you're putting together your favorite team. Your favorite team could be scattered in all, in 10 different boosters. So you'd have to go get all of them to get the players on your team. So, and I don't know how that's going to translate to this game. So that's the other thing. And so it's going to be kind of interesting. I don't know. A lot of these games rely on tons of cards, thousands and thousands, lots and lots of cards. Like Marvel Snap, they've got like maybe 400 unique cards, but they've got probably 3,000 cards at least by now that are upgrades, or not upgrades, but variants. The Football Head Coach 25, well, it would have, X amount of players, but they have like 7 different versions of those players. They're all like, different power levels and different appearances, which to me is like weird. But again, they have lots of cards. They can, and then they have common level cards, and they're just the low level version of those players. I don't want to have that. I want to be able to, maybe the common players might be low level players, but they're not going to be low level quality. I mean, that's just who those players were. That's just low stat players. The more rare players might be the ones that cost a little more, so you can build your team up around them, but it might take some time to, get a full roster of really good players, or of a full salary cap. But your salary cap eventually will get capped out, and then you're just trying to decide who you want. Maybe you play with that whole team for a year. So then you're trying to play games to earn your rewards, or earn your stats, or earn your extra stuff. And, you're trying to do things throughout the season to make your team play better. Training, coaching, whatever. And you have to do those things for your team to improve enough throughout the season so that you're competitive against the other teams. Because whoever puts the most effort in on their teams is going to have the best chance, of success in the league. And there will be like rookie leagues where the salary cap will be shorter, and that's like the first people who just start, they'll be in a rookie league. And then once you start having a higher salary team, because you own more cards and you're able to build a higher salary, you'll move into like the veteran, and then there'll be the all-star leagues, and that's where your salary cap, you're using the full deck. You're using the full salary cap, and now you're playing in those leagues, and those are the kind of leagues you run all the time. You may not play in a beginner league anymore, but that's just kind of like the intro point where you're learning how to play, you're getting your cards, you keep trying to get more cards, either by way of earning some or by buying some, whatever you're doing to try to move yourself into those higher points, and then you can play against everybody else. And most everybody eventually is just playing in the veteran leagues. It's just those first ones are like your training. The first 2 or 3 days that every free-to-play game has, where they're giving you everything under the sun and you're trying to learn how to play. And then finally you have enough to go play. So that's kind of what I'm thinking, is how those first leagues are going to be, first seasons of play. So anyway, create game plan. I'm wondering, I think I might just call it get game plan. But then I have to rerun, which isn't a big deal. I can rerun this, but is it under the gateway? New game plan, plan service. Handle, create game plan. There's so many parts to this. It's actually, it's kind of a bit on the overwhelming side. Oh, here's a API right here. It's funny they call them routes, not endpoints. Why does that register endpoint? I know, Angular likes to use routes. So it's calling out. There's a lot going on here. That's the thing too, is it's like a lot of it is me just trying to, I start reshaping how I want things to function in my head. The more I do this, the more the whole game and the whole premise of everything I'm doing shapes in my head. It tends to result in refactoring a lot, because I start to realize, okay, this is a more efficient way to do this. This is a better naming convention. This is a better process. And like I've already changed up how coaching profiles is going to work, and that was because I started mapping it out on a table or whatever on my drawing board here. And I started realizing that, you know what, I don't need this or that, and I'm going to have, my coach is going to have certain things that are on his card, and this is what he does. And once I map that out, I'm like, okay, it's not that so much. Let's separate the game plan from the coach, and the coach has his tendencies, and all those bits and parts start to shape in my head. And so then I start changing how I'm going to write this, that, or the other thing. And this is also why I don't make quite as much progress in the early phases, because there's a lot of stop and rethink. Because ultimately, once this starts coming together, there's not going to be a whole lot of going back. Refactoring is going to be troublesome. Changing names, changing structures. Yeah, I'll still probably do it, because ultimately you got to make the fixes you have to make. But you want to have as cohesive a plan as possible, so you're not doing a lot of that. And now that comes down to is understanding enough that I'm not just following blindly into the depths with these teacher guys, and also thinking through completely how it's going to work for me. Because I don't want to be pulling off a lot of time, spending a lot of time on doing their little example things when I really want to apply it to my work. So I have to understand what they're doing, and then add it and add mine to it. So instead of creating orders like his restaurant thing he was doing, I'm creating the things that belong to my game plan, or to my game, and I'm starting with a game plan. Because to me, that's the first key element I need that isn't the simulation itself. And the simulation's a little bit more complex, but it's going to have less user interaction. The game plan is going to be the meat of the user interaction. And then the simulation is the meat of the game. That's the thing that all your work goes into, and it has to be accurate, and it's going to be a lot going on there, but it's going to have less user stuff. So there'll be saving to the database there, but it's going to be more like all back-end action. It's going to be getting stats, getting results. This is what happens, and we're just going to throw it in the database, and then we can come back and read it later for statistics. And then I got to start writing out the statistical responses. And how did the player do? This is your player stats. This is your play stats. This is your, everything is all going to be recorded so that I can give that information back to the user, and they can start going, this play doesn't do as well. If this is what the opposite is. One of the things I want to be very explicit about not doing is giving too much information. So if you're monitoring a team, right? You want to see how a team is doing, how it's playing. You don't know what their plays are called. You don't know what they are. You just see what they did. So in other words, your offensive sweep to the outside might have noticed that they were playing a blitz defense. That's all it knows. It was a blitz defense. Or you might know the formation. It was a 5-4 blitz defense. Because they blitzed you. That's all you know. You don't know what the name of the call, what the play was. You don't know specifically all the ins and outs of the play, but you know they blitzed you, and it was a 5-4 defense. And your play got stuffed. So you're like, okay, well, against a 5-4 defense, I might be in trouble, especially if they blitz. So maybe you gotta. I want it to be something you can learn and start having effects in the game. Like maybe you respond to, if it's a 5-4 defense, run this. You can do that. It's an audible, right? You can have audibles, and that's what I'm going to do in this game. I want to have audibles. That'll probably be a later feature because I want to get the base functionality working first, of course. But those are all on the list. I have all that stuff in the list. The list is big. I have it all in my Azure project. All these items I'm working on, and they're going to be cool, but they're also going to be a lot, so it's going to take a long time. But if I can get all that stuff to tweak, and then I want to write a lot of test cases where it runs through the application and goes, run 10,000 of these games and tell me how often a safety occurs. How often does a running back get more than 500 yards, which would be dumb. I gotta catch all those little anomalies and make sure that the game is balanced in a way where those kind of things, those anomalies, are minimized. I mean, like in the history of the NFL, I don't know that a running back has ever ran for 500 yards. I know they've done 400, I think, once or twice, but it's pretty freaky rare. I don't even know if it's been. 400 is probably a lot for a running back. You can throw. I've seen quarterbacks have thrown for 500, 600 yards. And I suppose some of the receivers he was throwing to probably got a couple hundred yards. But it's rare to get 400 yards at a skill position other than quarterback. So if you're getting it a bunch, like, this has happened like 15 times this in the last 20 games, you're like, okay, something's off. And of course, you should have an occasional. Your running backs, the better ones, should hit 100 yards fairly consistently. It doesn't have to happen all the time, but like the best running backs in your league should be able to hit 100 yards half the time. Maybe 5, 6, 7 times out of every season. Maybe they get 10 or 12 or 13 a couple of times. Maybe sometimes they get more, but it should be a very rare occurrence. Only the best running backs. You should not have too many times where a bottom barrel running back is getting, 100 yards multiple times in a season. Yeah, you can do it once or twice or whatever, but the guy's not good. He shouldn't be doing that well. So those are the kind of balance things you got to adjust for to make sure that all your stats kind of come out. And then when you make those tweaks, it's across the board. If it affects, one guy a little bit, it should affect everybody a little bit. Maybe you're finding this problem is universal against the offense. Maybe the defenses are just bad. so you adjust, certain aspects of the defense to try to squish those results down a little bit. I would be more inclined to start tweaking the defensive stats before I start tweaking individual layers of stats for the players, because I want there to be a good head-to-head, but it all depends on where I've got room. Because you can only adjust so much. There has to be there's a flex point that you can't go above a certain point and you can't go below a certain point. So you need to adjust within those to make things balance. And that's what I did in my game design. But again, I haven't played 10,000 versions of my game. I've only played it a few times. Played well, but it wasn't enough to really know how well it played. You know, like one of the things I noticed with my simulation is with the way I had my time set up, I was getting like 200 and some plays a game. That's like way over. I mean, the NFL record is like 150 something plays or something. It's high. That's super high. It's not uncommon to be between 120 and 130 maybe. So I had to make some tweaks to how the time was going so that it would burn more time between plays. And I got it down to, it's still kind of high, 160, 170 plays. Still kind of high, but it's better. I got to tweak it some more, but I don't want to mess with that because that's not the, it's not what I'm doing right now, right? I mean, that's minutia based on the prototype, and it's like, why do I want to be tweaking prototype times? Because that's not going to be. I got to be careful about fixing things that aren't going to be part of the final output. So I do need to make sure that works, but not until it's running real life plays and real player stuff, because beyond that, it doesn't matter. I've got to figure out how to translate playtime into actual seconds, because plays run in 100th of a second, but can they be measured? Like, can I actually measure? This one takes 1/1,000,000th of a second, or 1/1,000th of a second. This one takes 3/1,000ths of a second. Is it possible to measure the play times in actual time and then say, okay, this one took longer to process, so it's a longer play because obviously there's more going on. Maybe it's just, I mean, you still have the same number of people on the field and they all have to do their checks. I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe that doesn't work. I don't know. But again, I got to try to figure that stuff out. But again, that's later. That's neither here nor there. Well, it's more there than here, but okay, so okay, I'm doing it. I'm going to call it Get Game Plan. It seems to make more sense to me. Create Game Plan. Ooh, look at all the places I put Create Game Plan. Oh, I don't want to change it there, though. That's going to get generated. So only in these items. Can I? Replace. Wait, what? What did I do? Oops. I don't want to do that. Oops. Get game plan. And then I need to go back here and fix this nonsense that I totally tweaked. Game plan, game plan, game plan, game plan. Probably should not have made it lowercase. I think that's the only one I had that one mixed up. Okay. Let's go to here again. Get game plan. We're going to change this to get game plan. Just to give it back its case sensitivity. Then we're going to go back here. And we're going to go make gen. Oops. Oops, did I forget to put it back in someplace? Yep. Get game plan. Plan. And where else did we miss? Get game plan. Get game plan. Blah, 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 blah. Handle game plan, mux. Game plan, service client. Get game plan. Get game plan request. Let's delete these. No, I'll just run these again. Expected method name. What am I missing? Oh. Get game plan. There we go. All right, so that fixed almost everybody. After that little snafu. Let's call it a snafu. Undefined get game plan. Oh, it's HTTP. Well, maybe it is just an HTTP request. Okay. Okay, we're fixed. Okay, so that little refactor. See, this is the problem with refactoring. Refactoring is scary. It's not always the best, especially when you do something dumb like you replace everything with a blank. Don't do that. Luckily, I haven't done too much, so I didn't break too much doing that. It was pretty easy to fix, since it was mostly in one file, but still. Okay, so Now, gateway. API users, user ID. I got to figure out how to call register routes. My post is going to be users, user ID, but I don't know what I'm passing in there. So, and if it's calling based on this guy, I don't know. Let's see what this curl does. I do have a postman, but I'm going to do this. It is kind of interesting that it's API.gameplan, but curl dash x post HTTP colon localhost 8080. I think it's 8080, right? I mean, how does it know what it is? I didn't exactly tell it. Oh, I have it on 3030. But I have it in my M folder, which is 8080. Okay, well, never mind then. Alright, so it's 8080. Oh, I also have to run it. Which I forgot. I forgot how to do that. Let's see. It's run it. I can't curl it right now because I have to go. And I think it's just go.main or go. All right. What a pain. Got to remember this stuff. What is the command to start my gRPC gateway? Because I forgot it. This is my main.go file and the gateway. Go run main.go. Go run main.go. Hello world. Hello world. Wait, where do I have hello world at? I know that's in here somewhere. It's calling something that has hello world, but where's that at? Is that in my okay, I don't know where that is. Oh, well, I don't need this. Go away. Hello world. Which main.go is this? Oh, that's like a master page. Jeez, I didn't even know I had a master main.go. Oh, it's way down here. Jeez. Okie dokie. Oh, it's because I'm not in the right spot. That would be how I come that happens. CD gateway. Now we go run main.go. Undefined new handler. Okay, well, it's 10:16. It's late. It's late for you, man. If you have to get up early in the morning, you should get to bed. I'm going to go not sleep very well. I tend to not sleep well lately because I've been thinking, my brain gets going on this, and at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, and I'm like, I want to sleep, but I really want to go downstairs and work on this stuff. So, yeah. I'm not even that tired because I got up so early this morning. I took like 2 naps trying to catch up. I think I got like 4.5 hours sleep or something. And I was like, I need a nap. Took like a 20-minute nap. And of course, that got me up to almost 5 hours of total sleep. So 3 hours later, I'm like, okay, I got to do it again. This time I took like a 40-minute nap, which I woke up like 3 times. I felt good. Feel good now. I'm good to go. Except it's bedtime now, so I gotta go to bed. so I don't get screwed up by the day. And then I gotta go to the gym and I gotta go swim. I'm thinking I'll do 1,600 meters again, or maybe I'll do the treadmill because my treadmill board is worn out. So I don't know if I can't run on it right now. It's another expense that I have to figure out how to cover. I'm gonna make progress on these APIs, dang nabbit. I'm slowly getting there. That's what I'm working on. I'm gonna get this call made, and once I get the call made, then it's like, aha, the light will go on, and I'll be like, okay, I'm ready for action. Are you ready for some football? Yes, I am. I want to see it start working out some real stats. I got to start working on that. So we're getting there. These early days, got to learn stuff in the early days. Nintendo 504, thanks for stopping by and keeping me company while I code. You have